Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we're undertaking what I can only describe as a colossal mission.
That's a good word for it.
We're taking the most the most universally available ingredient in the culinary world, the egg, and we are just shattering the illusion that you could possibly know everything about it.
Right.
Forget your quick Sunday morning scramble. We are plunging into this incredible collection of historical and specialized culinary knowledge, all of it centered on the egg.
It's truly astonishing. When you look at this compilation of recipes, you realize that the egg is not just protein. It's structure. It's a binder. It's sauce. It's color.
It's everything.
It is. And we are moving far, far beyond basic scrambles today. We're getting into territory that covers dozens of specialized dishes. I'm talking deep-fried appetizers, sophisticated big soufflés, even long-term preservation techniques.
So our mission today for you is to systematically unpack the detailed ingredients and these, incredibly unique instructions for this whole array of egg dishes.
We're giving you a shortcut, really, a way to master these classic and sometimes wildly decadent culinary approaches.
And we're going to find out not just what they cooked, but why they cooked it this way, what it tells us about the kitchens of the past.
And before we jump in, it's probably important to mention a couple of key techniques because we're going to see them over and over.
Oh, good idea.
The first is the bain-marie, the water bath, and the other is the double boiler. Both are absolutely crucial for controlling the temperature of the egg.
Which is, as we all know, notoriously sensitive to heat.
Exactly.
The bain-marie is, it's often just described as placing a dish above heated water, right? Or
Right.
putting the cooking vessel into a pan of simmering water.
Right.
But its function is so critical. It prevents that direct, harsh heat from reaching the food, which ensures this gentle, even cooking. It's what stops custards or baked eggs from, curdling or getting rubbery.
It's the ultimate slow and low technique. And the double boiler, it does a similar thing, but usually on the stovetop for sauces. It gives you this barrier of steam heat, which means you get really precise temperature control.
Which you absolutely need for things like hollandaise or for tenderizing vegetables without browning them.
Which we are about to see right now.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're starting with the extremes. I'm talking about the architectural egg. This is bird's nest, recipe 1.
It's pure showmanship.
It really is. This isn't just fluffy egg white. This is like an exercise in culinary engineering.
And it's built on chemistry. The technique demands separating the eggs, usually 4 or 5 of them, and then beating the whites until they form and the term used is stiffened froth.
A stiffened froth, so it's got enough air trapped in it to actually hold its shape.
Precisely. The instruction is so specific. You scoop that froth onto your serving dishes, and then you use the back of a spoon to create a little depression, a small center nest.
And that's for the yolk.
That's for the yolk. You drop one whole yolk right in the middle.
And the cooking method is that classic gentle heat we just talked about.
It is. You let the dish stand above a pan of heated water.
Yeah.
There's your bain-marie. And then you finish it in the oven.
For how long?
Just 2 to 3 minutes. Really quick. Just until the whites are fully set.
So why the oven finish? What does that do that the water bath doesn't?
The oven gives you that quick, dry heat on the exterior of the froth. It sets that outer shell, gives it a tiny bit of crisp texture, while the inside and the yolk stay tender and warm.
Ah, so you get that contrast.
You do. You season it simply, pepper, salt, little dot of butter. The combination of that crispy baked white and the creamy, runny yolk, it would have been a stunning visual, a real show of skill.
Okay, so from that light, airy architecture, we're moving to something far more aromatic, robust even. Curried eggs. Recipe 2.
Yes, this is built on a hard-boiled base, but the sauce is where all the complexity is.
The ingredients list for that sauce is fascinating. Beyond the hard-boiled eggs, you've got sweet peppers, minced garlic, fresh grated ginger.
A full tablespoon of curry powder.
A full tablespoon? That's a lot.
It is. And all of that is built into a foundational roux butter, flour, combined with thinly sliced onions and water. This is, a very early example of that South Asian or colonial influence in a classic European dish.
Let's talk about the instructions for that sauce because it uses the double boiler. It says you slice 3 large onions and cook them in butter in a double boiler until they're tender.
Right, and it specifically says not browned.
Why is that so important? Why keep them pale?
It's all about the final flavor profile and the color. If you brown the onions, you'd get that deep, caramelized sweetness, which would just clash with the bright, aromatic profile of the curry.
So you're going for depth without the sweetness.
Exactly. Keeping them tender but pale means they almost dissolve into the sauce. providing body without overwhelming everything else. Then you blend in your seasonings, the flour, add the water, and bring it to a boil.
But the key finishing step, this is what tells you it's a high-end dish. You have to decant the sauce through a sieve.
That sieve is a non-negotiable step for that historical fine dining standard. It guarantees a perfectly smooth, velvety texture. No bits of onion, no grit from the curry powder. Just a perfect sauce, poured over sliced hard-boiled eggs and hot rice. It's that extra step that separates a home meal from formal service.
Okay, now we're getting into a whole category of hard-boiled eggs as savory filler. This starts with deviled egg salad, recipe 3.
So you have your standard ingredients, pimento, onion juice, paprika.
But then, the shocking addition, a half cup of chopped boiled tongue.
Yes. And this really is a deep dive into the historical function of the egg. Boiled tongue was incredibly flavorful, but it was also an affordable cut of meat.
Right, so you're stretching the protein.
You're stretching it, and you're adding this powerful savory flavor and a really rich, soft texture. The recipe even says to push the yolks through a mesh again, that refinement for smoothness, and then mix it all together.
And it's not just served as a scoop of salad. It's placed back in the egg whites, served on lettuce leaves, with French salad stuffing poured over it. It completely elevates the humble deviled egg.
And that theme of using meat as a filler continues right into the basic deviled eggs recipe, recipe 4.
This one uses a full dozen hard-boiled eggs.
A dozen. And the yolk mixture explicitly calls for 4 tablespoons of meat. It mentions chicken, ham, or tongue mixed with melted butter. This is such a crucial economic insight. The egg is a vehicle.
A vehicle to stretch a small amount of expensive meat into something substantial.
Exactly. And the presentation here is just, it's whimsical, it's unique.
It's the big candy presentation.
The big candy. You put the egg halves back together, then you roll each one in a 2x4-inch piece of parchment paper, twist the ends, and fringe them.
So it literally looks like a wrapped piece of candy.
It's delightfully old-school fancy, turns a simple appetizer into a decoration for a buffet. And they even mention a variation.
Eggs Bernhardt.
Right, where you put the yolk mixture back in the whites and then heat it in the oven. That one little step heating it transforms it from a cold, savory filling into a warm, savory mousse.
So moving away from stuffed eggs, let's talk about the deep-fried formed options. We're starting with egg balls, recipe 5.
This is a simple appetizer, but it has a really crucial binding technique.
What's that?
The ingredients are minimal: 4 hard-boiled eggs, salt, pepper. But the binder is 1 uncooked yolk.
Ah, the raw yolk.
It's a powerful emulsifier. You mash the hard-boiled yolks, mix in that raw yolk, form little balls, and deep fry them. And it says you can fry them in either hot oil or boiling broth.
Boiling broth for deep frying. That seems unusual.
It's a very rich choice. It suggests that maximizing flavor absorption was maybe more important than just getting a crispy crust.
And that technique of forming and frying, it gets way more refined in egg chops and egg croquettes.
Oh, absolutely. These aren't just simple balls. These are structurally complex. The chopped egg is integrated into a professional white sauce binder. This is, real culinary skill.
So for the egg chops, recipe 6, you've got 6 finely chopped hard-boiled eggs mixed with diced cooked ham, parsley, onion juice, seasoned with cayenne and white pepper.
And the binder is that thick white sauce, a classic roux of flour and butter with milk slowly added.
And this is the key step, right? You have to chill the mixture.
You have to. You chill it until it gets hard enough to handle, so you can actually form it into a patty or a little pork chop shape. Then it's a 3-step breading process.
Dip in egg, roll in crumbs, and deep fry.
Exactly. It guarantees that crisp exterior and a tender, savory interior. They're served with steak sauce or diced tomatoes.
The egg croquettes are pretty much the same idea, but with a different flavor profile.
Identical technique, really. You swap out the ham for grated nutmeg and form them into cylinders, served with ketchup or cream. So if you look at those 3, the balls, the chops, the croquettes, you see an evolution.
From a simple yolk-bound ball to a highly refined white sauce-bound croquette that's designed to look like a high-status meat dish.
That's it. It's all about elevating the appearance and portability of the egg.
And that concept, it really reaches its peak with egg farci recipe 8. This is a truly substantial baked meal.
This is a powerhouse. You finely chop 6 hard-boiled eggs, mix them with a cup of chopped cold cuts, or meat, parsley, and onion juice.
But the binder here is massive.
It is. A thick sauce made from butter, flour, and milk, which is then blended with 2 cups of mashed potatoes.
2 cups. The potatoes are the real anchor here.
Absolutely. It shows the eggs roll not just as a filler for meat, but as a textural complement to the starch. The mixture is so hearty you can put it into ramekins, brush it with milk, and bake it until golden. It's a true supper staple.
Before we move on, let's touch on a couple of the savory baked custards. We have egg pudding, recipe 15.
And despite the name, this is 100% savory.
It's a savory timbal, really. You beat 6 large eggs with seasoning, prepare a separate roux-based sauce with milk, and then add that sauce to the eggs.
And you add the crumbs of 6 slices of bread.
What do the breadcrumbs do in a custard like this?
They provide structural integrity. They soak up any excess moisture and keep the custard from shrinking too much when it bakes. The whole thing goes into a dish, gets topped with cheese, and is baked until it's set and browned.
And briefly, egg timbolas, recipe 11. This one has a really specific fancy detail.
It does. You have to dust the small custard tins with finely chopped meat tongue and mushrooms before you break the egg in.
So that's purely for presentation.
Purely for presentation and flavor. Yeah. When you turn the cooked timbale out, you have this beautiful savory layer on the outside of the perfectly shaped egg, served on toast, covered with tomato sauce. Very formal.
Okay, now we are moving into the world of the poached egg, where the egg itself is almost a blank canvas for its sauce.
And the sauces here they're incredible. We see global flavors, intense umami, and pure luxury.
We're starting with something incredibly savory, eggs a la Bennett, recipe 17.
This is technically a stuffed hard-boiled egg, but the flavor profile is it's a punch. The yolks are mashed with butter, onion, and a heavy dose of anchovy sauce.
Anchovy sauce, that is a huge flavor. What does that intense salt and umami do for the dish?
Anchovies were a foundational flavoring element, like fish sauce in Asian cuisines. It provides this deep, salty background that just amplifies all the other savory flavors.
So it's not just salty, it's a flavor enhancer.
Exactly. And the rescooped eggs are placed in a ramekin on top of a cream sauce, sprinkled with breadcrumbs, basted with butter, and baked. That contrast between the salty filling and the creamy base is just mastery of balancing extremes.
Next up, eggs à la bonne femme, recipe 18. This is described as a French soufflé hybrid.
Which means precision is everything. You have to separate the yolks and whites of 6 large eggs. The base sauce is made from softened Spanish onion, a roux with milk, nutmeg, pepper, and salt.
And after that cools, you stir in the beaten yolks.
Right, to enrich and thicken it. But here's the hybrid part. The well-beaten egg whites are gently folded in.
That folding technique. That's the difference between a dense custard and a light soufflé.
That's everything. You're trying to incorporate the air from the whites without deflating it. It gets poured into a dish and baked slowly for 15 minutes. It creates this light, airy, but profoundly savory dish. A real testament to the structural power of protein.
If you're looking for a rich, reduced sauce, we've got eggs à la bourbon, recipe 19. The instruction here is key. Poach the eggs directly in broth.
Such an elegant, economic technique. The eggs absorb some of that richness while they cook. Then you transfer them to a dish, sprinkle with Parmesan, and bake until it's melted.
And the sauce is the leftover poaching liquid?
Yes. The leftover stock is boiled rapidly until it's reduced to half its original amount, mixed with butter for sheen, and then poured over the eggs. Zero waste, maximum flavor.
We're taking a culinary journey here. Next is eggs à la Finoise, recipe 20, which is poached eggs on toast with a vibrant tomato pepper sauce.
This is a shift toward fresher flavors. The sauce uses a simple flour and butter base, but then adds chopped green peppers and strained chopped tomato. It's topped with chopped chives. A very fresh, bright counterpoint to the richness of the egg.
Then we have eggs à la Gretna, recipe 21, a unique celery infusion dish.
Right. Celery is usually just part of the background, but here's the star. Celery heads are sliced, boiled, and then simmered for 30 minutes until they're completely tender.
And it says to save the cooking water. Why?
That water is now a weak but pure celery stock. It holds all the celery's aromatic compounds. You'd use it to enrich the milk, flour, and butter sauce the recipe calls for.
Yeah.
Poached eggs on toast with that soft celery arranged in between. A very unusual dedication to a single vegetable.
Eggs à la Hyde, recipe 22, gives us one of the most fascinating ambiguities in this whole collection.
It really does. It's a stuffed hard-boiled egg, yolks mashed with sweet cream. Rich.
But the sauce preparation is what gets me. Melted butter, flour, onion, mushrooms, and then the liquid is given as chicken broth or coconut milk.
I know.
That is such a stark choice. Chicken broth is classic French, heavy, savory. Coconut milk is tropical, lighter, sweeter. What does that duality tell us?
It could be a couple of things. One, versatility based on what was available. If you were near a port, maybe you used coconut milk. Two, it could just be a deliberate choice of flavor profile. The cook could choose rich and European, or light and something else.
A rare moment of conscious substitution captured in a recipe.
It is. The sauce is poured over the eggs, topped with breadcrumbs, and baked until golden.
Okay, moving on to eggs a la Windsor, recipe 25. This is another poached egg on toast, but with a very specific garnish.
The sauce is a straightforward, broth-based roux. The whole character of the dish rests on that garnish. A mix of chopped olive, chopped Spanish pepper, and parsley.
So you get that sharp tang from the olive,
I
a
did.
bit of sweetness from the pepper.
Exactly. It adds color, tang, and texture, steering the dish away from heavy creams and toward brighter, more Mediterranean flavors.
And now eggs a la Roar, recipe 26, which has two elaborate versions, both involving hard-boiled eggs and a seafood cream sauce.
The name, a l'aurore, means at dawn. It's a reference to the color contrast between the white sauce and the yellow yolks. In the first version, the sliced egg whites are mixed into a white sauce that's been blended with finely chopped sardines, crab, or lobster.
So seafood extension, using the egg and sauce to carry the flavor of expensive seafood.
Precisely. The whole, unbroken yolks are just used as a colorful garnish. The other version is a layered baked dish. White sauce, Parmesan mashed yolks repeat, topped with breadcrumbs and baked. It's a way to turn standard ingredients into a very impressive centerpiece.
But if we want pure historical decadence, we have to look at eggs à l'impératrice, recipe 27, the Empress's eggs.
This is the ultimate pairing of the humble egg with a luxury ingredient. You take buttered toast and spread a thin film of pâté de foie gras over the top.
Foie gras, wow.
A perfectly poached egg goes on top of the foie gras, and the whole thing is drizzled with melted butter.
I mean, that's not just a meal, that's a statement about class and access.
Absolutely. The foie gras instantly places this in the realm of high-end continental cuisine. It elevates the egg from a staple to a centerpiece.
We also see some simpler baking methods like eggs au miroir, recipe 28.
Eggs in a mirror. It's just broken eggs baked in a dish with breadcrumbs using the bain-marie method until they set. Very simple.
And eggs baked in tomato sauce, recipe 29, which is just layering eggs between tomato sauce and baking with cheese.
The heavy sauce acts like a buffer, like the water bath, ensuring the eggs cook gently.
Continuing with the poached and sauced theme, Eggs Mornay, recipe 43, is the classic cheesy baked version.
It is. It's poached eggs covered in a bechamel sauce that's been enriched with cheese and specifically paprika. Then it's garnished heavily with shredded Parmesan and baked until brown.
What about Eggs Norwegian, recipe 44? This sounds like an absolute double hit of umami.
It is a celebration of salty, savory richness. Poached eggs on toast that has been spread with anchovy paste, and then anchovy sauce is poured over the whole thing.
So if you love salt and that deep marine flavor,
This is your dish. Definitely not for the faint of heart.
Eggs Nova Scotia, recipe 45, turns the egg into a topping for a regional protein.
Right. A poached egg is placed on top of a flattened codfish cake. The whole thing is then covered with cream or tomato sauce. A clear example of using the egg as an elegant capstone for a heartier base.
For a more traditional pairing, we have Eggs Press Court, recipe 46.
This uses thinly sliced cold chicken on toast with a poached egg on top, and then it's all covered with sauce béarnaise.
The béarnaise being that rich emulsion of egg yolk, butter, and tarragon vinegar.
The acidity of that vinegar cuts right through the richness of the chicken and the poached yolk. It's a beautiful balance.
And finally, in this section, Eggs Rossini, recipe 47. We're back to reduction in liver.
This is all about concentrating flavor. You reduce stock by half, you quickly simmer chicken livers, slice them, and add them with mushrooms to that reduced stock.
And the eggs?
They're baked separately in butter until they set, and then that rich liver and mushroom sauce is poured right over the top.
Okay, this next section is where we find the real technical oddities, the really telling historical preparations. We start with Eggs Beauregard, recipe 30. A refined, two-part deconstruction of a hard-boiled egg.
It's an excellent example of refinement through separation. You hard-boil 5 eggs, but you don't just mix everything together. You mash the yolks separately, and you finally chop the whites.
And the chopped whites are mixed into a white sauce.
Exactly. And the assembly is key. That white and sauce mixture goes on buttered toast first. Then the whole thing is topped with the pure, crushed egg yolks.
So you get two distinct textures and colors, the creamy sauce with the bits of white, and then that fluffy, bright yellow yolk dusting the top.
You're appreciating the whites and yolks separately, even though they're on the same plate. It's very clever.
We simply have to discuss Eggs Benedict, recipe 31. But this is not the Eggs Benedict we know today. The recipe here details a very specific home-baked muffin.
That's what's so fascinating. This isn't just slapping an egg on a store-bought English muffin. The base demands the same careful air incorporation we saw in the souffle.
So what's in this muffin batter?
It's whisked egg yolks, milk, flour, melted butter, baking powder. And all of that is gently folded into stiffly beaten egg whites, then baked in muffin trays.
So it's not a chewy bread muffin, it's a delicate, spongy, almost cake-like muffin.
Yes, and the assembly is pure luxury. That muffin is topped with broiled ham, a poached egg, hollandaise sauce, and a garnish of finely chopped truffles.
Truffles. Again, that signals high status. The earthy, musky aroma with that rich hollandaise.
It's a dish where every single component, from the base to the garnish, is signaling expense and quality.
The sauce complexity continues with Eggs Benedict, recipe 33, which actually demands 2 distinct sauces.
It does. The béarnaise sauce itself is made by heating egg yolks, olive oil, and broth in a double boiler until it's thick and velvety. That double boiler is essential to control the heat so the yolks don't scramble. Then you stir in parsley and tarragon vinegar.
So that's the rich, acidic sauce. What's the other one?
A separate tomato sauce. The poached eggs go on toast, they're covered by the tomato sauce, and then topped with a dollop of the béarnaise.
A study in contrasts. The acidity from the tomato and vinegar cutting the richness of the butter and yolk.
Exactly. It keeps the dish from being overwhelmingly heavy.
Okay, now for something texturally very different, and honestly, a bit bizarre. Eggs brulee, recipe 35, the gel-like scramble.
This is a recipe that just demands curiosity. You whisk 4 whole eggs with broth, cream, salt, and pepper. But the cooking method is the unusual part.
Go.
It's mixed continuously with an electric beater while it's in a double boiler until it reaches a gel-like thick consistency.
An electric beater. In a double boiler, what on earth are they trying to achieve?
By beating it constantly and cooking it slowly, you're not making curds. You're creating an extremely fine, homogeneous emulsion. You're thickening the liquid into this silky, creamy, mousse-like gel.
So it's not scrambled eggs as we know it.
Not at all. And it says it must be served immediately on a hot dish, which suggests it loses that delicate texture very, very quickly.
Simpler, but still elegant, is Eggs Buckingham, recipe 36. This is all about a high-quality pairing.
It is. It's quickly broiled, thinly sliced Virginia ham on toast with a poached egg on top. The elegance is entirely in the quality of that salty Virginia ham and the perfectly soft egg.
Then we have some creative presentation in Eggs Coquelicot, recipe 37, using a vegetable as a liner.
The word coquelicot means poppy, probably referring to the red color. You grease small custard molds and line them completely with cooked Spanish pepper.
And break an egg inside.
Right. Then bake it in a bain-marie until it's set. It gives you this beautiful red lining and a slight pepper tang. Turns a simple baked egg into a colorful individual timbale.
Eggs Cortland, recipe 38, is back to the chicken cream sauce theme.
Poached eggs covered with a cream sauce that's been mixed with a half cup of minced cold chicken, served with green peas.
And again, we see minced cold chicken. It reinforces that theme of using leftovers and stretching expensive protein with eggs and sauce.
All the time.
The regional influence is really strong in Eggs Creole, recipe 39.
This is a Southern American sensibility for sure. The sauce is sautéed onions, fresh chopped tomatoes, and diced green peppers, cooked down for 15 minutes. Sliced hard-boiled eggs are placed in a baking pan, covered with that sauce, and baked.
And served on hot rice.
A perfect example of cultural fusion, where classic egg preps meet regional staples like rice and peppers.
Eggs en cocotte, recipe 40, is sort of the perfected individual baked egg.
It's the definition of simple elegance. The sauce is complex onion, mushrooms, stock, thickened with flour. You put a spoonful on the bottom of a cup, break a raw egg in, cover it with more sauce, and bake for just 5 minutes over heated water.
The quick cooking time ensures the yolk stays runny.
Precisely.
Now for one of the most unique instructions we found, and a deep dive into historical preservation. Eggs and marinade, recipe 41. Pickled eggs.
This is a remarkable, intense recipe. It uses a dozen hard-boiled eggs, and the instructions are so specific, you have to embed 2 cloves into each egg.
2 cloves in each egg, that's 24 cloves. That's an overwhelmingly powerful flavor.
It is. And it suggests 2 things. 1, cloves have antiseptic qualities, so intense spicing was a form of preservation. And 2, it speaks to a palate that really enjoyed highly concentrated flavors.
What's in the pickling liquid?
Cider vinegar, the water used to boil dark red beets for that color, salt, mustard seeds, celery seeds, and pepper. It notes that this can keep for 2 to 3 weeks.
And here's the really fascinating detail.
Oh, this is the best part. To enhance taste and avoid the appearance of spores, it says you can add a tablespoon of shredded radish or A half cup of nasturtium seeds.
Nasturtium seeds. They taste peppery, like capers. Was this for preservation or flavor?
Likely all three. They add a sharp, caper-like tang, but the instruction to use them to avoid the appearance of spores suggests a historical understanding of their antimicrobial properties. It's a beautifully complex preservation method.
We also have eggs en panade, recipe 42, which is basically fancy fried bread.
It's a savory French toast, really. Bread dipped in egg and milk, but fried in olive oil, not butter, which suggests a Mediterranean influence.
Okay, let's look at eggs Zanzibar, recipe 54. This has an incredible layered construction.
It does. The base is deep-fried breaded eggplant that's topped with chopped broiled ham.
And the sauce is the really unique part.
It's a mix of butter, sherry, and tomato ketchup, heated until thick.
Sherry and ketchup, that's a very specific, sweet, acidic, complex flavor. It shows how commercial condiments were being adopted into sophisticated cooking.
For sure. The final assembly is fried eggplant, ham bits, the poached egg, and that thick sauce poured over everything. It's a total fusion dish.
And what about eggs with chestnuts, recipe 52?
A very high-end pairing. You boil and mash chestnuts into a puree, mix it with milk and butter, and whisk it until it's airy. The poached eggs are served right on top of that airy chestnut puree.
That sounds incredibly comforting and refined, a perfect autumn dish.
Chestnut puree would be subtly sweet and starchy. A beautiful combination.
Let's talk about a specific cooking method. Eggs steamed in the shell, recipe 49. It relies entirely on residual heat.
The instruction says that letting eggs cook by submerging them and then removing them from the fire is better than a short, direct boil.
Why is that?
It ensures the protein sets gently and evenly. If you hard boil an egg too aggressively, you get that green ring around the yolk and a rubbery texture. This residual heat method gives you a perfect, tender, soft cook.
And it gives specific ratios, right?
It does. 4 eggs in 2 quarts of water stand for 10 minutes. 1 egg in 1 quart stand for 5 minutes. It's all about precision and thermal management.
Back to presentation, egg suzite, recipe 50, turns a baked potato into a serving vessel.
Pure presentation flair. You hollow out a baked potato, mash the inside with milk and seasoning, and transfer it to a pastry bag with a star tip.
A pastry bag for mashed potatoes. That's dedication to aesthetics.
It is. You break a raw egg into the potato shell and then pipe that mashed potato mixture around the edges to form a decorative border. Then bake it until the egg sets.
And finally, a simple supper alternative, Japanese hard eggs, recipe 56.
This really highlights the egg's role as affordable nutrition. The eggs are simmered for 20 minutes, sliced, and placed on long-cooked rice.
And the dressing is just a white sauce with a bit of onion juice.
Right. And the source explicitly says this is a good alternative to meat for supper, confirming its function as a primary protein source.
Before we wrap this section, let's touch on eggs with nut brown butter, recipe 53.
Such a simple but highly elevated finish. You cook the eggs in butter. But the key is that after you take the eggs out, you add more butter to the pan and let it brown until nutty, your classic beurre noisette.
And then you add vinegar.
2 tablespoons of vinegar. You boil the mixture, which creates a quick emulsion, and pour that tangy brown butter sauce right over the eggs. The acidity cuts the richness perfectly.
We've spent so much time in the savory world. Let's pivot completely to the egg as a dessert, starting with the ridiculously specific measurements of the egg flip, recipe 14.
This is a dessert cocktail, almost, like a historical shot of meringue. You beat the egg white stiff, then beat in the yolk.
And you place this mixture on a saucer, and here's the detail that gets me. It's sprinkled with 1/16 of a teaspoon of powdered sugar.
I know.
1/16. That is an almost negligible amount. It's like 3 grains of sugar. Why so little?
It suggests the dessert isn't about sweetness at all. It's about the texture of that meringue base and the immediate aroma of the spirit.
Which is the final step.
Exactly. You place 1 teaspoon of spirit brandy, sherry, or Madeira right in the center and serve it immediately. The aroma hits you first, followed by that unique, creamy, foamy texture.
Okay, our first fancy omelet is the omelet à la duchesse, recipe 57. A baked dessert omelet that starts with making a syrup.
And this demands skills you'd usually see in a confectioner. You boil water, sugar, lemon zest, and cinnamon until it threads when spinned.
That's a classic candy-making test for syrup density.
Right. It has to be at the perfect stage to incorporate into the egg without destabilizing it. That cooled syrup is mixed with beaten yolks and thick cream.
And then, like so many other dishes, the stiffened egg whites are folded in.
You fold them in, transfer it to a baking dish, sift it with confectioner's sugar, and bake it quickly until it's browned. It's a luxurious dessert souffle, but it's stabilized by the density of that syrup.
Finally, we have the incredibly unique and complex omelet a la Washington, recipe 58. This is essentially two different omelets served together.
It's a true culinary statement piece. You prepare two separate egg mixtures, 3 eggs each,
One is savory, seasoned with just salt and pepper,
and the other one is mixed with grated apple.
and these are cooked as two separate omelets.
They are. The apple omelet is placed on a warm plate, spread with softened jelly, and folded. The plain savory omelet is placed right next to it and also folded.
So you're presenting the diner with this duality of flavors on one plate.
A savory bite and then a sweet, fruit-filled bite. The final touch is sifting confectioner's sugar over the entire dish, which unites the two halves visually. It's a complete fusion of savory and sweet.
Wow. We have just covered a culinary masterclass based on a single ingredient, nearly 60 distinct preparations.
It's a lot.
We saw the egg used to create baked timbales, savory custards, deep-fried croquettes, long-preserved pickles with nasturtium seeds. I mean, the list goes on.
And intricate dessert omelets with confectionery-grade syrup. The breadth is impossible to ignore.
And the ingredients were just as surprising. We noted the use of pure luxury items like pâté foie gras and truffles in dishes like eggs et l'impératrice.
Right, showing the egg's capacity to act as a foil for these high-status foods. But we also saw the constant use of nutrient-rich fillers like chopped boiled tongue and minced cold chicken.
Showing the egg's vital role in stretching expensive protein into a substantial meal.
Exactly.
And what stands out, I think, despite all this variety, is the consistency of the method. Every single recipe demanded precision.
Absolutely. What connects all these diverse dishes is a reliance on control. The techniques of poaching, the strategic use of baking, often en cocotte or au bain-marie, and the crucial role of fortified sauces.
Those base sauces, the roux, the broth reductions, the complex béarnaise and hollandaise variations, that's what transforms the humble egg into the centerpiece of a formal meal.
These detailed, precise instructions are invaluable records of a time when the perfect set, the perfect reduction, and the perfect texture. That was the ultimate measure of a cook's skill.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? We've seen the egg used as the star, the filler, the binder, the garnish, in dozens of ways that modern cooking has pretty much forgotten.
So our provocative thought for you to carry forward is this. Consider the technical sophistication buried in these seemingly simple recipes. We've seen dishes based on residual heat, double sauce layering, and aeration via an electric beater in a double boiler.
Which of these complex, often centuries-old methods, whether it's the structural elegance of the bird's nest or the unique preservation science of the eggs and marinade, might deserve a revival in your own kitchen today, using modern tools to achieve that historical, precise perfection?